we had to leave, so I didn't get a chance to tell her, but that although she was primarily speaking to first-year students and to students in general, as someone who's on the backside of 35 and a professional, it really gave me a lot to think about. I told my husband, I was like, Pokemon, she's fantastic. Because it gave me a lot of things to think about in terms of how I go forward crafting the business and the ministry work that I do. I'm always looking for a challenge. I'm always looking for ways to be better, to improve, to leave a legacy. Legacy is important to me because I understand that I lived at a time where we were bridging two worlds. I was born in the 70s. That kind of gives you some idea, you know, how old I am. My parents were children of the 60s. So my father was a Black Panther. Do you know what Black Panthers are? My father was a Black Panther. We're talking big afro-wearing, power to the people parents. That's what I grew up with, you know, very active in the civil rights. With a grandmother who referred to herself as colored and a great-grandmother who referred to herself as a Negro. So just a very interesting time, you know, grew up in a time, went to college at a time where there was no internet. We didn't have internet on campus when I went. Nobody had a cell phone. You was doing good if you was walking from residence campus to main campus with some headphones and your Walkman on with a tape. So very different time, transitioning from what we now see today. I remember when we were in college, we never thought we'd see a person of color in the White House. We just didn't think that was possible. And so leaving a legacy, talking about legacy leadership, moving into that place is extremely personally important to me because I feel like I lived in a time when bridging that gap. Now you all have tremendous opportunities and technology that was not available to me when I was in college. We walked in and, you know, something that's probably very typical to you. I was like, oh look, they got plugs on the desk. We didn't have anything like that because nobody was carrying a laptop. And you were doing good if you had a computer. We were typing using that, you know, y'all probably don't even know about the paper that comes on a ream. Well, this, yeah, typewriters, but this is a little bit after typewriters. It came on a ream about this big, and it was all connected. And it had these little circles, and it ran through the printer all together, and then after you pulled your paper out, you had to take the sides off and hope you didn't tear it. And you had to hope it printed exactly right, because if it did, you had to print it all over again. It was just rough stuff. So I want to take a minute and talk about what it means to leave a legacy. And it was just such a phenomenal speech that we had at lunch, because one of the things that she spoke about was starting your brand now, thinking about now, what you have to do now to prepare for the future. And I wish somebody would have talked to me about that when I was a freshman, a sophomore, junior, senior. Because I think I would have played out my life a little bit differently the next 4 years I was in college and probably the 5 years after that. So, provided, I said, you know, I had to get help. We can work this screen. Interactive. To you, when you hear the word legacy, what do you think of? What does it mean?
It means like you're established in one area or some type of thing, and then you leave, but you're still remembered in this in the part that you were having for.
Okay, you're still remembered for what you've done. Okay.
People's view of you, how they see you as a person.
Okay, people's view of you, how they see your history. Any other thoughts?
It's like a story that you leave behind, so that, or like others can tell it and like basically help other people go by what you do.
I like that, the story that you leave behind. Now, when you think about, let me use that, the story that you leave behind, what do you want that story to tell? What do you want people to think of when they think of you years down the road? Now, the formal definition of legacy, it's something that you bequeath to you by will. So, you know, somebody dies and they leave a will. What you get from that will can be considered a legacy. A bequest, something handed down from one who has gone before or from the past. You personally are responsible for leaving a legacy to every group that comes after you. Now,